Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. In the last episode we wrapped up our maintenance backlots at the back of the park, and today we are heading even further back along the peninsula to work on Lighthouse Point, the area of the park where there are some campgrounds, cabin rentals, places to park your camper van or RV, lots of different housing options that aren't the hotel breakers. We've had some placeholder road back here for a very long time, looking very ugly with a bunch of yellow grid for where the roads are gonna go. And I am very excited to finally get back in here and replace that placeholder grid with some real scenery. In a way, it kind of seems like some of this stuff was made for RCT. These are some very long, narrow little cabins that fit very nicely into a 1x3 tile area. Just some pretty basic walls and roofs, and we get something that looks pretty decent. The toughest part back here is, of course, the more organic and oval-shaped nature of the roads and cabin layouts. A lot of the path that we're going to be putting in today is going to be very jaggy and angular. I am planning on filling in some of these diagonal gaps to help smooth things out. I don't get to it today because that would take a very long time and it's not very exciting to watch, but that it is on the schedule to happen at some point. But anyway, it was really nice to come back here and work on this area kind of far away from everything else, pretty isolated. Just doing some foliage work, some landscaping. It's a part of the game I really enjoy. I find it kind of relaxing and therapeutic to just, plop down some bushes and trees and things. Turn a very barren area into something that looks very lively and organic. I do like it quite a lot. And I haven't gotten to do a lot of it lately because most of Cedar Point is very man-made looking, very flat with all of the wide swaths of tarmac. And now we can finally get some trees in here, have things look a little bit greener, and it's quite nice. There isn't necessarily a whole lot to say about the individual buildings here themselves. Like I said, a lot of the same copy-paste cabins here. I've never been back to this area myself, so I'm relying once again very heavily on Google Maps for figuring out what the layout of this area looks like, what kinds of buildings are where. But of course we do have some issues with Google Maps being a little outdated. As of when I'm recording this in September 2022, the Sandcastle Suites Hotel still exists in Google Maps aerial photography. If you're unfamiliar with the Sandcastle Suites, that was the very large X-shaped hotel at the far back corner by the Magnum turnaround. I put down a placeholder for that way back when we were doing the rest of the placeholder builds here. And like I said, since I'm not very familiar with this area, I didn't know that they tore it down several years ago. In fact, the only reason I found out about it in the first place was because I happened to be browsing Reddit a few months ago, where I saw a post by user Pilot KP, who happened to be flying over the back of the peninsula and took a photo. And I noticed that the hotel is completely gone, which was very surprising to me. It looks like they've replaced it with some more places for RVs to come. So I definitely want to give a big thanks to Pilot KP for that photograph, because I definitely have been using it a whole lot when recreating this corner of the park. Really, the only other way I would have known that that has happened back here is if I happen to catch a glimpse on it while riding Magnum, and usually I am too busy paying attention to riding Magnum to look at what's going on back here at Lighthouse Point. I imagine there's quite a few other areas of the park that are in similar circumstances where things have been torn down or changed since the Google Maps that I haven't actually seen on my various trips to the park this year, and probably am still going to miss. We'll get to some of that in a future episode with the dorms by Valraven that they tore down pretty recently as well, because those also exist on Google Maps aerial photography, even though those have been torn down, I think, for a couple of years now as well. So yeah, just some fun little trivia for you there. Does mean that the back corner of the peninsula is a little bit barren. Now with that hotel gone, there really isn't a whole lot there except some kind of scrubby looking grass area. Doesn't really look great in RCT. I'm probably gonna come back here when I do some more detailing later and add some more foliage in here just to make it look a little bit nicer and less like an area of the park that I forgot to fill in. As I've said many times before, that's the trade-off when trying to recreate something in RCT, the balance between making something that looks good and something that looks accurate. I can't say that I'm too upset about not having to recreate that hotel building though. because it's quite large and I'm a little bit tired of making buildings. But yeah, I am definitely very happy to be adding in more trees in here. Like I said before, getting some more greenery in here is really helping the park pop. Might be just because it's new, but this is already one of my more favorite parts of the park to just look at for now. Once I come back in here and finish tweaking the footpaths and roads to make them a bit better looking, it's going to look even nicer. I'm not looking forward to actually doing the work, but after it's done, it's going to be worth it. There are a couple other little administrative buildings back here as well, presumably for people who are staying at the campsites. Really hard to get a good view of what these buildings look like. The Google aerial view isn't great, and I am really having a hard time finding good photographs. So I'm taking a lot more creative liberties with these buildings and just trying to build something that looks half decent. And just kind of guessing on some of the textures and colors for these buildings. Not too worried, again, about super accuracy back here. Not a real major part of the park, not something that I'm really worried about getting super accurate. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to talk about for this area. Not super a whole lot of exciting stuff going on, but just getting these things down is really nice. I really enjoyed making this area. It was a nice change of pace from before. Still a lot of work to do back here too, like I said, tweaking up the paths, making them look a little bit nicer and less jaggy. I want to tweak some of the RVs that I made, make them look a little bit unique from each other. I'd copied and pasted the same one over and over again. And I do want to spend a little bit of time getting some more unique decorations in there, make them different colors, things like that. Probably going to do some of that work off camera again, because it's not going to be very exciting to watch and very tedious for me to do. But I think it'll all be worth it once it's done, and I'm looking forward to that very much. But I think that's going to do it for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.